Hello, this is Annette with Project Refine Life. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm here to do a walkthrough of the Outgrow Yourself Oracle and Tarot deck by Äkta Spåman. I don't know if I said that right. I think I've said it right in another video, but probably not today. So this is a really cool little deck, and it is an Oracle and Thoth Based tarot deck all in one. It is, of course, a total of 78 cards, and it is a little bit different. Now, this deck does not come with a guidebook. It comes in this little tuck box, and this little note is as much as you get in this deck. It says, Outgrow Yourself, Oracle and Tarot is a universal tool that offers easy access to fully understanding oneself. The flowers will guide you in everyday, every way decisions and offer eternal wisdom. Being that it is a Thoth deck, and I have to tell you, I am not really familiar with Thoth. I just purchased my Thoth deck, have it right here, to study with because I have all these Thoth-inspired decks, but I didn't have this deck. Now, when I saw this deck, I thought this would be a really good learning tool for me. So I'm going to describe to you what makes this deck a little bit more unique. We have all the majors, but on the majors, as you can see, of course, the illustrations are completely different, but there are no numbers on these cards. So in your majors, you do have the actual title of the card, which is fantastic, right? Because you know which card is which. Now, the oracle portion of the card is where you have this little affirmation or oracle meaning on the top of the card, which corresponds to the card, similar to the Thoth. Where this deck changes is in the minors. You do have your ace, and you do have your court cards named as princess, prince, queen, and knight. However, the other cards are not titled by the suit and with a number that's associated. All you have are these keywords down here that correspond with the Thoth deck. If you're kind of Thoth inspired, but you're not ready to fully dive into that system, that's where I think this deck could shine for a beginner Thoth study deck. If you are completely familiar with the Thoth, then of course you're going to feel right at home with this. But I thought it would be a really good study tool for me. If I could get familiar with this title right here on the bottom and then use the oracle meaning of it, it would really give me an idea for each card. Plain and simple, not complicated. And I've been working with this deck for a few months now, and I really do enjoy it. So these are the backs, and I edged it in yellow. I have shared this deck before, I think on my 12 most memorable decks of 2021 video. We all know that I am really not good at judging what the cardstock is. I will tell you, however, that I have another deck, and I looked up the cardstock rating, I guess. I don't know what it's called, the GSM on that particular deck, and it says S33 Superior Smooth Cardstock with a black core. That's what this one feels like. I don't know if it is or not, but that's what it feels like to me. It is quite bendy. That's my word for it. That's my technical word, is bendy. So I think if you riffle shovel, you'll be okay with this deck. I overhand for the most part. So before we go much further, I'm just going to go ahead and go through the flip through of each card so that you can get a feel for the deck. So the reason I got the deck was to become more familiar with the Thoth system without actually having a Thoth deck in front of me. And I don't know yet if if it's worked, but I've really enjoyed the deck so far. And I think as I get further into my studies this year of the Thoth, and also other decks like the Tarot Avataria, which is very Thoth based, I think that I will by default become more familiar with it. So this year what I'm going to do is when I work with this deck, I'm just going to go ahead and have the Thoth deck beside me. I have my book and I have my little white book that I can use in relation to this deck. Now, I love the color tones. I love the bright colors. I love that the bodies are, I don't know how I would put it, soft, mushy, not exactly in a particular shape. I like when I see that, because to me, this is just somewhere that we put our existence in order to travel through life. So when I see bodies like this in decks, I really enjoy that. So primarily when I first got the deck, I started using it as an oracle because I did not have any reference for the Thoth. Afterwards, I went ahead, and because it doesn't have any numbers and it doesn't have what suit it's in, I went ahead and bought the book and got the Thoth deck. And what I did in order to become more familiar with this deck and which card I was dealing with is that I went ahead and created a little keyword guidebook for myself. So let me go ahead and share that with you. Please disregard the coloring here. My printer is having issues printing color paper right now. But what I did is I went through the deck and I went ahead and put the name that is on the card, what would be the corresponding number for the majors, and then also the oracle meaning on this deck. I did the same thing for each of the suits. So now when I come across this oracle meaning or this name, then I just go ahead and look right here in the wands, and here it is. And I have the way to properly relate this to the Thoth card. So that's how that's been working for me. Now, if you do get this deck and you want that little printout that I did, just email me and I would be glad to send you over a copy. So the first oracle deck that I like to pair up with it is the Making Magic, Manifesting Your Dreams by Priestess Moon. This is a nice little deck, and you can easily find it on Amazon or maybe through your local metaphysical store, but it pairs up very nicely with this deck. As you can see, the colors, you know what, that's important to me. I like them to look nice together, but I like the way that the messages read with one another. The second deck that I like to use to pair up with it is the Dirt Gems Plant Ally deck. Now, this is a very brightly colored deck, and I do have a walkthrough and comparison of the first and second edition here on my channel, but I love the way that the colors kind of mimic each other. They're both very bright, and I like the way that it reads together. It does very well together. So this is one of my second pairings that I use. And I will go ahead and link the information for this deck below. And this is a gorgeous deck. This is the second edition. I didn't know if I was going to be able to part with the first edition because I had bonded with it. But after working with the second edition a little bit, I went ahead and handed my first edition off to my friend Tara. The third oracle deck that I like to pair it up with is this little deck right here, which is locally made by somebody here in Arizona out of Sedona. It's called the No Frills Oracle. And I will put all the links for all the decks that I'm mentioning below. But this is a very brightly colored deck. And as you can see, it's a little funky, just like this deck right here. The meanings are short and sweet, but I really do like the way that these decks work together as well. When I started working with this deck primarily, I kind of took it as an oracle first, because I said that I did not have any Thoth guidance or books. So even at that, I do like working with the Outgrow Yourself deck along with the Story Medicine Tarot. First edition or second edition, doesn't matter. They work very well together. I like the way that the energy plays off one another. I feel that they work very well together. And this is, as my girls say, some of my naked decks. You know, I have a lot of naked women decks. Overall, I love how energetic this deck is, how colorful the deck is, and the movement within the cards. You can feel passion, and with these little keywords up here, you can really get a great feeling for the card. So just using it from the keyword down below, and then using that oracle message above, you get an idea for the card. So like I said earlier, if you are an experienced Thoth tarot reader, then this deck is going to be a breeze for you. But if you're learning the Thoth just like I am, I think this deck is really handy for that learning experience. If you do choose to buy this deck and you would like a copy of my little keyword guidebook that I created, just shoot me a message and I'll be glad to email it to you. So again, I appreciate you so much for taking the time and watching this video. If you like the video, please like, please subscribe. Again, I appreciate you. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.